Sometimes trust doesn't arrive with a dramatic moment. It grows quietly, one conversation at a time, one promise at a time, and one kind action after another. A woman rarely wakes up one morning and suddenly decides to trust someone completely. Instead, her heart slowly collects evidence. She notices the little things. The words you keep, the respect you show, the way you remain the same person even when no one is watching. Long before she says, "I trust you," her actions begin revealing that you've become the safest person in her world. The first sign is that she tells you things she doesn't tell anyone else. At first, the conversations stay simple. She talks about work, her hobbies, her favorite movies, her plans for the weekend. But as trust begins growing, something changes. She starts sharing stories she's never told before. She tells you about childhood memories that still make her emotional. She talks about mistakes she regrets. She admits the fears she usually hides behind a smile. She tells you about the nights she questioned herself, the dreams she almost gave up on, the moments that shaped who she became. These aren't ordinary conversations. Every secret she shares is another piece of her heart placed gently into your hands. She's quietly asking herself one question. Will he protect what I tell him? If you listen without interrupting. If you never use her vulnerability against her. If you make her feel accepted instead of judged. Her trust grows even deeper. Because everyone wants someone who makes honesty feel safe. The second sign is that she becomes completely comfortable being herself around you. Many people wear invisible masks. They act stronger than they really feel. They hide their insecurities. They carefully choose every word. They worry about saying the wrong thing. But trust slowly removes those masks. Around you, she laughs louder. She stops worrying about looking perfect. She isn't embarrassed by small mistakes. She can sit beside you in complete silence without feeling uncomfortable. She doesn't feel the need to impress you every second. Why? Because she believes your opinion of her isn't based on perfection. It's based on acceptance. That kind of comfort cannot be forced. It only appears when someone feels emotionally safe. The third sign is that your opinion genuinely matters to her. Not because she needs permission to make decisions. She's perfectly capable of thinking for herself. But when something important happens, she naturally wonders what you think. She asks your advice before making a difficult choice. She values your perspective. She listens carefully when you speak. Sometimes she already knows what she'll decide. Even then, she wants to hear your thoughts. Not because you're controlling her. Because you've become someone whose judgment she respects. Trust naturally increases the value of another person's opinion. She believes you're trying to help rather than criticize. That changes everything. Another beautiful thing begins happening. She stops assuming the worst. If you don't reply immediately, she doesn't instantly believe you've lost interest. If you're busy, she gives you the benefit of the doubt. If something unexpected happens, she asks questions before making conclusions. Why? Because trust replaces fear. People who have been hurt before often expect disappointment. But once trust becomes strong enough, the mind becomes calmer. Instead of imagining problems, she believes your explanation. That's one of the clearest signs that emotional security has taken root. The fourth sign is that she lets you see her on difficult days. Most people only show the happy version of themselves. The smiling version, the confident version, the successful version. But trust changes that. She calls you when she's overwhelmed. She admits when she's exhausted. She tells you when she's confused. She isn't afraid of crying in front of you. She doesn't feel embarrassed if she isn't emotionally strong every moment. Why? Because she believes you won't leave simply because life becomes difficult. That belief is incredibly powerful. Real trust isn't measured by happy moments. It's measured by whether someone feels safe enough to be vulnerable. One evening she might simply say, "I've had a really hard day." She isn't asking you to solve every problem. Sometimes she only wants someone who listens. Someone who stays. Someone who doesn't disappear when life becomes messy. When she chooses you during those difficult moments, she's revealing how deeply she trusts your presence. Another sign appears in the way she speaks about her future. She doesn't just tell you her goals. She tells you the fears connected to those goals. She worries aloud. She wonders whether she's making the right decisions. She shares uncertainties she normally hides from everyone else. Trust allows uncertainty to exist. Because she believes you won't think less of her for having doubts. Instead, she believes you'll encourage her, support her, remind her of her strengths. That quiet confidence becomes another reason she continues trusting you. Another beautiful change happens in your conversations. She no longer feels the need to explain herself constantly. She believes you'll understand her intentions. If she has a busy day, she trusts you won't immediately assume she no longer cares. If she needs time alone, she believes you'll respect it. Healthy trust removes unnecessary fear. Neither person constantly worries about being misunderstood. Instead, both people begin assuming kindness before assuming the worst. That's emotional maturity. Sometimes she simply enjoys sitting beside you without talking at all. Silence becomes comfortable. There is no pressure, no awkwardness, no need to fill every second with conversation. People only reach that level of comfort with someone they deeply trust. Because silence can feel uncomfortable around people who judge us. Around someone safe, silence feels peaceful. She also begins trusting you with the people she loves most. She tells stories about her family. She introduces you to close friends. She shares memories that shaped her life. These people matter deeply to her. Allowing you into that part of her world isn't something she does lightly. She's slowly opening the door to the life she's built long before you arrived. And she's hoping you'll treat it with the same respect you've shown her heart. One of the strongest signs is that she stops pretending to be perfect. She admits when she's wrong. She apologizes sincerely. She laughs at her own mistakes. She isn't afraid that one imperfect moment will make you leave. Trust creates freedom. Freedom allows authenticity. And authenticity creates deeper love. Every time she chooses honesty over pretending. Every time she allows herself to be completely real around you. She's silently telling you something more meaningful than words ever could. She's saying, I trust you enough to let you see the real me. As trust continues growing, something beautiful begins to change inside her. She no longer wonders whether she should let you into her world. Instead, she begins wondering how much of herself she wants to share with you. The walls that once protected her heart slowly become smaller, not because she has become less careful, but because you've given her a reason to believe that not everyone will hurt her. The fifth sign is that she depends on you emotionally during important moments. This doesn't mean she becomes dependent in an unhealthy way. She still has her own life, her own goals, her own dreams. But when something meaningful happens, you're one of the first people she wants to tell. If she receives exciting news, she smiles while reaching for her phone because she wants you to know. If something disappoints her, your voice is one of the few things that can calm her mind. When she feels uncertain, your reassurance carries weight. Not because you have all the answers. Because your presence gives her peace. That kind of emotional trust cannot be forced. It develops after countless moments where you've proven that you'll stay, even when life isn't easy. She begins believing that no matter what happens, you won't disappear when she needs you most. Another sign is that she never worries about pretending around you. She doesn't carefully plan every message before sending it. She doesn't spend hours wondering whether she sounded perfect. She isn't constantly afraid of making a mistake. Instead, she simply becomes herself. She laughs without holding back. She shares random thoughts. She tells silly stories that don't really matter. She even allows you to see the side of her that only a few people ever experience. That playful version, that emotional version, that imperfect version. People only become this relaxed when they believe they're completely accepted. Acceptance creates freedom. Freedom creates trust. Trust creates love. Another beautiful sign appears when she begins defending you, even when you aren't there. Someone makes an unfair comment about you. Instead of remaining silent, she speaks up. Someone misunderstands your intentions. She explains your perspective. She doesn't do this because she's trying to win an argument. She does it because she knows your character. She has spent enough time observing your actions to understand who you truly are. Trust allows people to believe in someone even when others don't. Her confidence in you becomes stronger than rumors, assumptions, or misunderstandings. That kind of loyalty is incredibly rare. She also becomes more patient with you. Every relationship experiences misunderstandings. No two people communicate perfectly all the time. But when trust is strong, small mistakes don't immediately become major problems. If you accidentally forget something, she doesn't assume you stopped caring. If you're unusually busy, she doesn't immediately imagine the worst. If a disagreement happens, she looks for understanding before blame. Why? Because trust changes the way people interpret situations. Instead of expecting disappointment, she expects honesty. That expectation makes the relationship much healthier. Another sign is that she starts showing you parts of her life she normally keeps private. She shares old photographs. She tells you about childhood dreams. She introduces you to places that mean something to her. Maybe it's the park where she spent summers as a child. A small cafe she visits whenever she needs peace. A book that changed her life. A song she listens to whenever she feels emotional. These aren't just places or objects. They're pieces of her identity. By sharing them with you, she's inviting you into the story of her life. That invitation is built on trust. She also notices when something feels different about you. You don't have to tell her immediately. She senses it. Maybe you're quieter than usual. Maybe your smile doesn't seem completely real. Maybe you're carrying stress that you haven't talked about. Instead of ignoring it, she gently asks, "Is something bothering you?" She isn't asking because she's curious. She's asking because she genuinely cares. Trust creates emotional awareness. The more someone matters, the easier it becomes to notice the smallest changes in them. Another powerful sign is that she trusts your intentions, even when she doesn't fully understand your actions. Sometimes life becomes complicated. Plans change. Unexpected situations happen. She may not always understand every decision you make. But instead of assuming you wanted to hurt her, she believes there's probably a reason. That belief comes from everything you've consistently shown her. Your honesty, your respect, your patience, your kindness. One confusing moment cannot erase months of trustworthy behavior. Patterns matter more than isolated moments. As time passes, another quiet transformation begins. She starts imagining difficult seasons of life with you. Many people imagine romance during easy times. Vacations, celebrations, happy memories. But trust imagines something deeper. She wonders how the two of you would handle challenges together. Illness, financial struggles, unexpected changes, stress. She isn't afraid of those possibilities anymore. Because she believes you'd face them together. That's one of the strongest forms of trust a person can develop. Another sign appears when she no longer feels the need to constantly seek reassurance. She doesn't repeatedly ask whether you still care. She doesn't constantly test your feelings. She doesn't spend every day worrying that you'll suddenly leave. Why? Because your actions have already answered those questions. Consistency removed uncertainty. Your behavior became louder than your words. Trust replaced fear. One of the most meaningful moments happens when she begins giving you responsibility over parts of her life. She asks for your advice on important decisions. She trusts your judgment. She values your honesty, even when it's difficult to hear. She knows you'll tell her the truth with kindness rather than simply saying what she wants to hear. That's respect, and respect always strengthens trust. Eventually, she reaches a point where your relationship no longer feels fragile. She doesn't believe one bad day will destroy everything. She understands that healthy relationships survive mistakes. They survive misunderstandings. They survive difficult conversations. Because they're built on something stronger than temporary emotions. They're built on trust. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. Trust isn't created through grand promises. It's created through ordinary moments repeated over and over again. Keeping your word, listening carefully, showing kindness, remaining respectful, being patient, being honest, being consistent. Every small action quietly tells her, "You are safe with me." And every time she believes that message, her trust grows a little deeper. Until one day, without realizing exactly when it happened, she no longer sees you as simply someone she cares about. She sees you as the one person she can turn to without fear. The one person who knows her strengths without ignoring her weaknesses. The one person who has seen her tears without judging them. The one person who has earned a place where very few people are ever allowed to stand. Her complete trust. And when a woman trusts you more than anyone else, she's giving you something far more valuable than admiration. She's giving you the quiet confidence of her heart. A confidence built slowly through honesty, protected by respect, strengthened by consistency, and held together by the belief that no matter what life brings tomorrow, you will still choose to stay.